What is going on, guys? I am Consumer Tech Review, and today we're going to be doing a review of the ACO 3075S Shine Through. If at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same keyboard, there are Amazon and ACO links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's jump into it. Starting off with what's in the box. First, you get a polycarbonate plate, which is a very nice touch. You get a thick and high quality dust cover. Then you get the ACO 5075S keyboard itself, wrapped in PE foam. You can use this PE foam for modding if you wish. Then you get the user manual. You get 4 extra rubber gaskets because this is gasket mounted, an extra gold metal knob in addition to the black one or the white one that is on the keyboard itself, a high quality purple metal switch puller, a purple keycap puller, a standard black rubber coated USB-C cable, and then the rest of the keycaps to complete a full set, which is very, very cool, but there is no Mac command keys or anything like that. All right, but starting it off with the form factor and build quality. Now the 5075S is a 75% form factor. It's a split design with a knob. This is a very classic and probably the most popular form factor out right now. Now this Shine Through line is also available with a 65%, a 75% that is a more compact design, non-split design, and no knob. And then there's also a TKL. However, these form factors do have some key differences like the no side RGB, I believe, but overall pretty similar keyboard. The other keyboards also have the choice between ACO's own jelly pink switches or their jelly purple switches, which is a linear, and then a tactile. Whereas the 5075S has different switch options. But now for the build quality of the 5075S, it is overall made almost entirely of plastic. This is a 2-piece design, and it's a snap-together design. So the top piece snaps off. This is a pretty easy one to get snapped off. However, if you're gonna snap it off more than 5 or 6 times, you're probably gonna end up breaking one of the tabs. So if you are gonna mod this, I'd probably mod it once or twice, probably not do it 3 times. Now after that, on each the left and the right side, there is an RGB strip that is diffused. This is very nice. Probably better, I would say, than the GMMK Pro's RGB strip. This one's just a little bit more angled, a little bit more special looking, and then the bottom case is also plastic. Now this also has dual stage flip up risers like all of ACO's keyboards, and it does have obviously rubber feet on the bottom that are very nice and grippy. Overall, the build quality is good, but it doesn't quite feel as premium as ACO's other products. There is quite a bit of flex, probably the most amount of flex of any ACO board that I've used. You can see here, when I flex it, it definitely flexes. Now also on the bottom, there is a switch for Mac, USB, or Windows. Now I think this is because the PCB is actually made to have a battery because they use the same PCB to cut down on costs, which I don't mind, but then they continue printing Mac, USB, or Windows, even though this doesn't have a battery. And I think that's due to just the PCB already having that switch built into there, so they had to put something there. That's a little bit funny. However, let's move on to mounting style and dampening. Now this is a gasket mounted board. It doesn't move a lot. It's not like a Keychron board. However, it's also not like a GMMK Pro, how it doesn't move at all. So this uses rubber gaskets, a lot of them only on the top and the bottom. So I don't think there's any on the side. Now for dampening, this has high quality dampening. This uses pour-on foam between the plate and the PCB. And then on top of that, there is a pour-on pad, a switch pad, also along that PCB. Now, unfortunately, even though these are plate-mounted stabilizers, because of the design and where that dampening goes, you cannot take all of the stabilizers out without taking all the switches off and then taking that foam out, separating the plate and the PCB. But that's not all the case damping. There's also a very high quality silicone mold in the top half of the case. Now this case is a very strange design. There is only dampening in the case on the top part because that's the only part of the case that actually has space. The PCB almost sits directly on the bottom of the case towards the front. Now this design, I don't think is the best out there because I think it sounds a little bit more plasticky because of that. And for future modding, you can't really add any dampening down there. You might be able to add a very, very thin sheet of something, but overall, I don't think this design was the best. But again, that's from a modding perspective, which I think this board probably is not made for. This board is obviously Shine Through. This is not made for enthusiasts, but rather made for your gamer. This is a great keyboard. I'm gonna say this right away before we even finish the review. This is a great keyboard that if you're looking at a Razer or a Corsair product, but you want it to feel a little bit more like an enthusiast board, but also still be a very gamery board, this is the thing. If you are looking at a Huntsman Mini or whatever, a Razer board, a Corsair TKL, whatever, this is probably a better board for you if you want those nice enthusiast keyboard touches, but you still want it gamer, you still want shine through. This is a good one. All right, now let's talk about the keycaps. The keycaps are shine through, they're double shot PBT, and they are ASA profile, and that is ACCO's own profile that they created, ASA profile. Now overall, I think the keycaps are good. They're not ACCO's other level of keycaps. If you're gonna buy their separate keycaps, you see all their crazy colorways, this is not the same quality as those. These are nice and thick, which I do appreciate, but they do have a slightly higher pitched sound that you do associate with being a little bit cheaper. They do have a very slight texture, and overall, I prefer ACCO's other ASA profile keycaps, the one that they sell separately, because those are a little bit more higher quality. But overall, compare this to Corsair or compare this to Razer or any of those brands, these are far superior than those brands. These are much more higher quality. So that is really, really good, because I really think that this is a board that directly competes with those brands in a very new way, which I appreciate. Now let's move on to switches, hot swap ability, and hot swap direction. Now for the 5075S, you have a choice between ACCO's red wine switches, which are very new, and ACCO's white wine switches. Now the white wines are tactile, and the red wines are linear. Now both of these switches I actually really like. The white wine switches have an actuation force of 36 grams, a pre-travel distance of 2 millimeters, and a tactile position of 0.5 millimeters, and tactile force of 55 grams. Now overall, the white wine switches for tactile switches feel really, really good. I think overall these are probably my favorite tactile switch from ACCO. But if you're a gamer, you're probably gonna wanna go with the linear switches. That's what I would personally go with as well. The red wine switches have an actuation force of 43 grams and a pre-travel distance of 1.9 millimeters. This is also fully hot swappable with 3 and 5 pin switches, but it does still keep north-facing LEDs, although unless you're going to swap this out for cherry profile keycaps, you will not have a problem with interference because these are ASA profile. All right, but let's move on to the stabilizers. These are ACCO's new TPU double shot plate mounted stabilizers. The housing is made of POM and the stem is made of POM and TPU. These are pre-lubed from the factory and they do not need to be clipped. However, one very cool thing is the PCB is also compatible with screw-in stabilizers, so in the future, if you do want to upgrade to screw-in stabilizers, you can definitely do that. Now, the stabilizers overall are very similar to ACCO's previous purple stabilizers. However, these don't feel quite as well tuned as those. They're still very good, as you'll hear in the sound test coming up, and I have modded these before, so if you do want to go in and mod them, although I think most of you probably won't, these can sound amazing modded. However, in stock form, they sound very good and significantly better than, again, Corsair, Razer, the ROG gaming line, all of that stuff. This definitely sounds better than all of the gaming brands out there, which is important if that's what they're trying to go for, which again, I think that that's what it is. All right, but now the typing sound and feel. Overall, the typing sound is pretty good. I would say definitely significantly better than, again, Razer, Corsair, all of those, which never really sound that good. The overall typing experience is fairly stiff, but it does feel solid, which is important for gaming. The overall typing sound is good. It's not fantastic. If the switches were lubed, so if you do want to lube your own switches, I would keep the red wine switches, or if you're going tactile, the white wine switches, because they are so good for the price tag, because you are getting, you know, a $30 value just in the switches. So I think lubing them would probably make a world of a difference. But again, not being able to put a lot of dampening in the case, and this being a fully plastic constructed board that does have some flex to it, this does sound a little bit more plasticky than you may be used to from ACCO. Okay, but moving on to RGB, this is a big section for this. Number one, there's quite a bit of RGB, and with the shine through, well, it does really great. If you're used to any shine through keyboards, this is going to be exactly that. It's north facing, so it'll be compatible with basically all of your typical shine through keycaps if you do want to swap them out, which is great. You have tons of static colors. The RGB on the left and the right side is incredibly bright and vibrant. You can change modes, reactive, whatever you want. It's very easy to change it. You hold FN, you hit home, page up, page down, and end. You hold FN while doing that. You can change all of those things really easily. Those are all the modes. And then you can go through static colors pretty easily. So the RGB is solid, and that's an important thing because this is literally called the shine through, and the S stands for shine through, so it is the shine through line. Okay, but now battery, connectivity, and software. Now the 5075 is only powered via USB-C. It is detachable, and it is over there on that left side. So there is no wireless capabilities, even though the bottom switch kind of looks like it should. However, again, there is a dedicated Mac and Windows switch. Now the software for the 5075S is ACCO's own cloud driver to kind of customize the RGB, the side lighting, anything else you want. You can also do macro programming through that. Now, one last thing to say is that the PCB is connected to the USB-C with a daughter board. So for any of you modders, you're probably going to like that. However, again, this is probably aimed at light modding, but mainly gaming on this thing. Now, the most important section, price and value. Now, this thing retails for $90, with the majority of the other form factors, I think, retailing for about $80. Now, overall, when comparing to Razer, Corsair, all of the other gaming brands, this is a better value for a better overall board. And that's just my personal opinion. You may lose some speed like Razer or Corsair having super fast polling rates, but honestly, how much does that matter? With my gaming, it doesn't. I still get very high leaderboards all the time, regardless of the keyboard that I game on. So realistically, does that matter? Probably not. If you're a pro gamer, maybe not this one. If you're Tfue, you might be using something different. However, the value here is significantly better than those other gaming brands. You get really enthusiast grade stuff like well-tuned stabilizers. Not perfect, but well-tuned. Keycaps are significantly thicker. You get a knob. It's a little bit wobbly, but it's nice to have. You get side RGB, which is not usually something that you get on those other brands, and a split design with a knob, 75% form factor, which I'm actually not sure if Razer does, but I don't believe so. I might be wrong about that. And then overall, I think the sound is probably better and the feel is definitely better than what comes from Razer and absolutely Corsair. Not that I don't like Corsair, but they're still using switches that just no one wants to use at this point. Let's be real. You're also getting full hot swap ability to do screw in stabilizers, very premium dampening, which you don't find on the other gaming brands, and you still get shine through RGB and side RGB. So overall, for 90 bucks, I think it's a very, very good value, especially considering the switches are, again, a $30 value, bringing the actual cost of the board, if you just had bad switches in it, to 60 bucks. So overall, do I recommend this board? Well, if you are into gaming, you're looking at one of those other brands and you want a shine-through keyboard with RGB that feels significantly more like an enthusiast keyboard, but still keeping those gaming elements like RGB, I think this is a great value. Again, if you want to check it out, there are Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. Also, for all the subscribers out there, if you guys watched to the end, thank you, I love you, and do you like this new style of more like a typical review style? Because I'm really enjoying doing it, so comment below if you like it. But yeah, this was Consumer Tech Review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.